Hello and welcome to the element of earth and the suit of coins. Some people call this the suit of pentacles, but I think that is a mistranslation somewhere along the line. So here, this is kind of Eight of Coins. When you say coins, you say money, you say earth needs. This is the kind of thing that I think most people think about. And of course, a tremendous number of us are stuck in this situation. There he is. He's there with a hammer and chisel, hammering away, making money. I mean, he's literally making money because he's making coins. But how many of us do this? How many of us go to a place we don't want to go to do a job we don't want to do, surrounded by people we don't like? This is you do a job you don't enjoy, or you get out of it is the money. You know, and that's often the issue. It's not it's not always about money. It's not always about how much you have in the bank. Sometimes it's about what you have to do to earn your money. And of course, wealth and abundance means lots of things, doesn't it? Yeah, people in your life, that's a form of abundance. We'll come back to that shortly. The opposite one to the Eight of Coins is the Three of Coins. Now, look at this. There are three characters here. There are three coins. The stonemason there. The stonemason. There he is. That's your querent. That is the person you are reading for. He's there with a hammer and chisel. He's hammering away in the same way as the person in the Eight of Coins, but he's building something beautiful. In this case, he's building a church, but he's building something incredibly beautiful because he wants to do this. He wants to create beauty. The two other characters, one is a monk, one is the architect. So the monk is saying, yes, this is beautiful work, this is wonderful work, we are doing this to the glory of God, we are doing this because we are spiritual beings. The architect is saying, yeah, we just need to make sure we've got the angles right on the arch so this isn't going to collapse, which is of course massively important. When cathedrals were built, a lot of people were killed building cathedrals because they hadn't invented health and safety then. But it's a huge difference, isn't it? And making a living out of something that you want to do. But of course, doing something you want to do is great, but making a living out of doing it can be very challenging. And this turns out time and time again, it's the challenge of, particularly for artists, musicians, healers, how do I make a living out of doing this? And of course, often you need to be underpinned by the Eight of Coins. You need to go and stack shelves in a supermarket or something over Christmas for a bit, just to get some money coming in. It's always a challenge, isn't it? Yeah, balancing those earth needs with some of the needs that we looked at earlier with the Suit of Wands, with work. Work's a slightly different concept from money, isn't it? And what we looked at earlier with the Suit of Cups, with emotional, spiritual needs. It's always a case of balancing those. But of course, money as an issue turns up a tremendous amount with relationships. Yeah? Come on, a lot of people coming from for a tarot reading, they're at that point of, should I stay or should I go? And this turns up a lot in relationship readings. The Two of Coins, look at it, there's the figure of 8. It's a symbol of infinity, mathematical symbol of infinity, apparently. This appears in the card of the Magician. Energy infinitely flowing. So, yeah, you can use money to make money, and money can infinitely flow. But what he's doing here, he's a kind of, if you look at this, you can see he's a character on a stage with a backdrop, but he's a kind of pantomime figure doing a little bit of a jig. But what we have here is money being divided into two, everything being halved, usually. Can I afford to get divorced? That's quite an interesting question, isn't it? There's an awful lot of people hanging in there with relationships, with marriages, which are way past their sell-by date, but they can't afford to sell the house. They can't afford to divide their assets, and this is holding them together. So if this appears in your future, it's kind of an indication that, yeah, this relationship is going to come to an end, and you are actually going to do that thing of sorting out everything from the negative equity on the house through to who gets which bits of the CD collection. Yeah, but people are often asking for very people often want very specific answers to very specific questions. Are we going to get divorced? Now, there are people out there who would listen to a tarot reader, and if you said, oh yes, it looks like this relationship's over, it looks like you're headed for, will then go and end a relationship because somebody else told them that this is what is going to happen, so they make it happen. I tend to say that you have free will. This is your choice. This is your decision. Even though very often that's not what people want to hear, because they would rather somebody else made a decision for them. Do you see what I mean? There. But this a lot of energy flowing here. Money is only energy, but love is a form of energy. Yeah. The flip side of this is it can turn up where two people are actually getting together and kind of moving in together. If you see what I mean? In which case you then have to work out whose things you're going to keep. You know what I mean? But it is there is a lot with relationships, with love. There is of course that point. All right, that point where you start wearing an engagement ring, that's one thing. That point where you actually get a joint bank account, that's quite a big thing, isn't it? There's a lot of love, a lot of energy goes with working out who pays the lion's share of the gas bill. Yeah, it is quite an issue, isn't it? So, coins, earth needs, it's a complicated subject. It doesn't, yeah, if you're doing a reading and you've got a lot of wands, you've got a lot of work issues, you can be fairly sure that yes, work and money goes together, that cups and coins go together, relationships and money go together an awful lot. 4 of coins. This turns up a lot in relationship readings, actually. There are kind of two meanings to this. If you look at him there, fours are seldom good cards, actually, but he's kind of a miser. He's hanging on to money. It's not flowing. He's not doing anything with it. But the same thing can apply to emotion. He's hanging on to a lot of stuff. There are things which need to be said which are not being said. Yeah, you need to be talking, you need to be expressing, but also the opposite of the 2 of coins, where money is flowing infinitely. This is money is stuck. It's not flowing. Yeah, this you've got money tied up in a bank account, but it's not doing anything, it's not making you happy. But the same thing with love, it's not flowing. Yeah. This one, and this turns up in a reading, I really wince, because fives in any suit aren't really good. If you think about the Five of Wands, that's a card of conflict. This is a card of poverty. Now look at it. Come on, there's two beggars there, out in the cold, in the snow, and it is very much about being left out in the cold, and that might be emotionally you feel let down, perhaps by friends, as much as by family, as much as by perhaps your partner, maybe just by society. You just feel marginalized and let down, and you're hobbling along. And if you kind of look at the window there, you kind of get the impression that inside the church, there are candles burning, there is light, there is warmth that you are being excluded from. This is an odd card. It's like, really? Are you sure about this? Do you really think so? Are you? It's a bit like the Ten of Swords, the stabbed in the back card. It is a bit. Is it really that bad? If no one is phoning you, do you need to pick up the phone and maybe reach out to someone? You know, um, it's a bit difficult to know how to phrase that to people, really, because it's often not what they want to hear. Oh, everyone else is treating you really badly, poor you, goes down a lot better than, look, you really need to do something about this. So just find a kind of tactful way of expressing this, unless you just want to pour sympathy over people. But tarot is about finding your way forward, finding your own life path. It's not about saying heaven knows I'm miserable now. It is about moving life on, making life better. Should be, anyway, in my humble opinion. This one, Six of Coins. There's a very wealthy man there. Look at him. He looks as if he's dressed like a merchant, and he is distributing money equally. He has a pair of scales to two beggars. Yeah, it's about balancing money. It's about working money out. It's the elastic money trick that we all do to make money stretch and last for the whole of the month. Like the Two of Coins, this can turn up a lot if you have if you're talking to somebody who's dealing with a messy divorce, or perhaps they're winding up they have a business partner, they're winding up a business, and they're working out how to divide the equity from a business, or perhaps how to deal with the debts from a business. Yeah, it is very much about justice carries scales. Yeah. So this is about making sure that everything is dealt with fairly, equally, and with justice. So perhaps someone has two children, two adult children, working out. Yeah, it's a big thing, actually. Is how much can I support my sons and daughters' higher education? It's that kind of thing, and of course there's a lot goes to that, a lot of a lot of love, doesn't it? Actually, giving someone money so that they can have a better life in the longer term. That's an act of love, rather than like a sort of business deal, isn't it? There's a huge difference. So a lot of coins, it's about how you make money, and about what you do with that money. But of course, bear in mind a lot of what a lot of people are asking about. People, am I going to get made redundant? Or I'm looking for jobs. I've got a job interview on Wednesday. How's it going to go? The Seven of Coins, this speaks for itself. There it is. There's a guy who's leaning on his rake. He's not working. Money is not flowing. Money is not coming in. He is out of work. So perhaps someone is asking, are they going to get the job that they've applied for? Perhaps this is at the heart of the matter. And of course, this turns up a lot in relationship readings, because if one partner is out of work, that puts a tremendous strain on a relationship. Every time there's a recession, the divorce rate goes up, because there's nothing like, it's not just being short of money, it's not just like struggling to do the Six of Coins, the elastic money trick. It is the whole self-esteem thing. If you've had a Three of Coins job, if you were like the stonemason, building something beautiful, if you love your job and that is taken away from you, it's a huge blow, isn't it? You've probably lost a lot of your social network as well. So being out of work, it's not just about money, it's also about not having work colleagues and all the rest of it. Yeah, so he looks very dejected, doesn't he? Yeah, he's looking down. This is a card very much about being down, down in the dumps. Yeah. So what we hope goes with that is something like Ace of Coins. Aces, of course, aces are good cards. They are, if you're playing cards, aces win. A fresh start, a new beginning, news about money. So perhaps your fresh start and new beginning is if you've been made redundant from something, perhaps it's time to review your skill set, look at something completely different, and maybe it's time to time to retrain and do something else. This goes with cards like the Magician. The Magician has skills, but not necessarily formal skills, formal qualifications, but just has skills and talents that he isn't necessarily using. So you can get readings where there's an awful lot of things saying, yes, fresh starts, new beginnings. It's time to start again. So perhaps the Tower, life collapsing, is about being made redundant. Perhaps a business going down the pan. But often, if people have worked very hard to run a business and worked 7 days a week and it didn't work, actually letting go of that, it's a kind of form of grief and bereavement, actually. But letting go of that, it is a good thing, and you can build something else from it. Yeah, and sometimes you have the card of the world. The world is one cycle coming to an end and a new cycle beginning. But the thing is, because the meaning of tarot cards changes over the years, and that of course nowadays we have the World Wide Web. So what I found from personal experience is that the card of the world. I honestly think it can refer to the World Wide Web. It can refer to the internet. It is saying, look, you've got the world at your fingertips there. Get online, look at some online courses, see what else you can train to do, or maybe it's time to set up a micro business. Yeah, set up your own online shop or whatever. But it is not up to us as tarot readers to solve people's problems for them. This is like a slight sat nav. It sort of points you in the right direction. Yeah, that people don't necessarily, in much the same way as you could ignore your sat nav and think, yeah, I know a shortcut. People may not necessarily. What an awful lot of people would like to be told is that everything is going to work out just fine without you having to do anything. Life isn't really like that, is it? Page of Coins, pages. Well, we used to have pages, didn't we? We used to have those little boxes that had messages, yeah? A page, a message. What's a message nowadays? An email, a text message, a phone call, perhaps even one of those old-fashioned envelope things coming through your letterbox, but a message about money. But do be careful, because a message about money might be a parking fine, a speeding fine. Yeah, uh, we're all natural optimists, but people will ask if they're going to win money. Yeah. Um, a message about a message about money. Um, yes, people are off. You will get people asking you about um, inheritance, especially if like a parent has passed away and siblings are arguing. Sorry, the world is not a nice place. People are arguing about who's going to get mum's necklaces, that kind of. Honestly, I have had these are readings I have done. Yeah, but a message about money. Perhaps someone has applied for a loan to start a business, or perhaps they've applied for a grant. Um, so we hope what goes with the Page of Coins is an optimistic card, like the Ace of Coins, or the Six of Wands, which is victory. But bear in mind, victory is like an Olympic athlete crossing the finishing line. It's something you work for. It is not like the Ace of Coins. It's not a hand coming out of nowhere, just giving you something. See what I mean? The 9 and the 10 of coins, they're quite odd cards. Does everybody seen? Not that I really want to admit to watching things this trashy, but you know the film of The Bodyguard, Kevin Costner and was it Whitney Houston? It was where the character where Rachel, the singer in the film of The Bodyguard, had this absolutely beautiful house, which is the Rose Garden. This beautiful house with the swimming pool and all the rest of it. But around the outside of the garden was security fencing. Now, all right, most of us do not live in enormous houses with swimming pools, but an awful lot of people do this to themselves. If you think about a rose, okay, it's a beautiful symbol, the red rose, a symbol of love, but it also has thorns. So a rose hedge, as an image, as a metaphor, what we have here, it's a bit like Sleeping Beauty. It's that impenetrable hedge that keeps everybody out. An awful lot of people do this because they are. It goes with the three of swords, the card of the broken heart, and you'll often find that in someone's past. What is in your past leaving your life, or if you use the Celtic cross, card number 2, what is crossing you? People who have been massively hurt in the past hang on to that, and they want love, they want abundance, not so much. This isn't specifically financial security. That financial security, joy, happiness, and the security of love. But they're afraid to let anyone in. They're afraid to let anyone close to them. But this is, yes, it's not having furs and diamonds under the bed. It is having security. It is having enough money put aside that if your central heating goes wrong and you need a new boiler, you've got enough money there to be able to get phone someone and get a new boiler fitted. Yeah, it's that kind of feeling, but it's not just about money. That's the important thing. This one, 10 of coins. This is an odd one. Tens, of course, are the point in this cycle where everything has come to an end. There is no 11. You can only go back to 1. This this is very much about, if you look here, there's the grey-haired man, the sort of father, grandfather figure, and young people leaving home, young people heading off into the wide blue yonder. There's dogs in the foreground there. Dogs are normally a symbol of loyalty, security. Dogs guard us, they protect us. And it is a little bit, I suppose, a little bit like the Fool in some ways. It is a little bit like leaving home, launching off and having adventures, taking a little bit of a risk. Yeah. So a bit like the Nine of Cups, the kind of Bilbo Baggins card of being safe, secure, as we saw with the Nine of Coins, the Rose Garden. This is saying, come on, it's time to get out there, it's time to do something. But this does often occur where there's been changes within a family, because of course we're always moving, we're always working our way through the 7 ages of man. So this can be an indication perhaps of a baby has been born. So your role has changed from mother to grandmother. Or at the other end, perhaps someone has passed away, someone has passed into spirit. And so you're now the oldest generation. Yeah. There's no one above you anymore. You are now the oldest person. You are, in pagan Wiccan terms, of course, you've moved from being the mother to being the crone. Which is quite nice, by the way. But it is about those changes, about moving up. But it's also about embracing change and going with it, and accepting the inevitability of change, and accepting that, that's a line in a Goodies song, wasn't it? You're all getting older each day. And of course we are all growing and evolving. And of course the characters that go with this, the characters that go with changing to sort of changing, are Queen of Coins and the Empress. Most of the minor, a lot of the minor cards have a major equivalent, and the Empress, there she is, archetypal Earth Mother, but possibly also grandmother, the sort of, in Greek mythology, Demeter, Persephone's mother. There she is. In some cards, some sets, the Empress does have the horn of plenty and endlessly giving. There, the Queen of Coins, very down to earth, practical lady. But that doesn't mean that she's not caring. It doesn't mean that she's not loving. This often appears in a reading as, if you're reading for a man, this will often appear as his partner. She's quite a practical person, isn't she? Yeah, she makes sure that everything's budgeted, everything is balanced out. Yes. So what do we make of Earth? Earth people, we think of people born under the star sign of Taurus. They are quite practical, but it doesn't mean they're not caring, does it? And yeah, somebody's got to be the practical one. Somebody's got to be the person who perhaps organises a funeral. Yeah. King of Coins, the Emperor. Sometimes you'll find that both these cards appear in a reading, because you'll have someone in your querent's life who is so strong and so powerful that they dominate this reading. They appear twice. The other possibility for this is the Hierophant, the Pope. There are slight differences between Hierophant and the Emperor, that we're talking about very down to earth, very practical. We have bulls on here, back to Taurus, that too, that very entrenched. Yeah, he's very often a partner or ex-partner, especially if you have the King of Swords there. But he's very stubborn, isn't he? Oh yes. Maybe you can be a little bit stubborn yourself. Well, sometimes, yeah. Endlessly loyal, very, very practical. There's kind of a difference between, I know, the man who expresses love by, well, I'll put a new shelf up in the kitchen for you, to the man who's one of the Gallagher brothers always said that he wrote Wonderwall for his wife. But I know, do you want a King of Cups type troubadour who will write you a poem, or do you want the guy who'll come round and sort out your block sink? Yeah, I think nice. Both is nice, isn't it? Really, but the very down to earth, very very kind of very, very, very practical people. But of course, the challenge of being in a relationship with a sort of Emperor, King of Coins type person is they're not really going to tell you how they feel. And this is a recurring issue, because of course people who tend to be drawn to tarot are often very emotional people. And so if they are in a relationship with a kind of King of Coins type person, it can be quite challenging for them. Having said that, of course, the King of Coins and the Emperor, they're not necessarily a lover in someone's life. Both these can represent perhaps your boss at work, but also work as a thing in itself. I said to somebody once, you work for a big bureaucracy, and she laughed and said, yes, I'm in the army. You kind of assumed that anything military would appear as like King of Swords, but actually something about the army, it's very entrenched. We do it the way we've always done it. Yeah. The Navy are still using the short salute that Nelson's Navy would recognise. So a lot of the time people are asking about money, they are asking about work. And King of Coins, it can mean that you work for a big bureaucratic organisation, but it might be your landlord. People might be asking you about, that they're in dispute with their landlord. Am I going to get evicted? No, come on, we live in a real world. These are the kind of questions that people are coming to a tarot reader for. So don't fall into the trap of telling people what they want to hear. Yeah. King of Coins, somebody might be asking if they're going to get the bank loan that they need to be able to move on, move forward. Am I going to be granted are the bank going to give me a mortgage? So in that situation, you really hope that you've got something like the Chariot in your future, the moving on, moving forward. So in the context of getting a mortgage, obviously the Chariot is literally moving house. This chap, I really like this chap, can represent a woman, by the way. Knights can be female. Knight of Coins. Of all the Knight cards, he's the only one who's not moving. If you think of the Knight of Swords, there he is with his sword drawn, rushing off in the wrong direction. The Knight of Coins is sitting there working out the figures before he commits to anything. So he's usually a young man, but someone who tends to, if he's gonna take you away for a romantic weekend, he'll have probably been on Travel Zoo and booked somewhere because it's the Best Buy. Yeah, you know, but there's a lot to be said for a solid, down to earth person who's got a sensible job, probably with a pension scheme at the end of it. Yeah, there's a lot goes with coins. There's a lot goes with money. Money can be a representation of love, and it is a powerful energy. Um, Without money flowing, you know, it's not really possible to live in a cottage in the country with your own goat and grow your own vegetables, is it? We all need money coming in. But there's an awful lot of emotional baggage goes with money. So if you do a reading for someone and you get a lot of coins cards, don't fall into the trap of thinking it's all about work, because a lot of the time it can be about it can be about love, it can be about relationships as well. Yeah, lovely. Well, we've covered all 4 suits now. There are videos about the suit of wands, the suit of swords, the suit of cups, and here we are with the suit of coins with earth needs. So if you'd like to check out any of my other videos, please please do subscribe, and I hope to see you all again soon. Take care.